Hey everyone, Anna here. I'm really excited about making this video today, not only because I get to talk about one of my favorite topics, content creation, but also because I get to do it together with an amazing content creator, Austin Belsack, who is also a good friend of mine, a fellow career coach, and the founder of Cultivated Culture. If you haven't seen any of Austin's posts yet, go follow him now on LinkedIn because you're gonna find a ton of great advice in his posts. Hey, Austin, thanks so much for joining me today. Honestly, I think I told you this before. You are one of my absolute favorite people to follow on LinkedIn. So I thought, who is a better person to talk about creating compelling content on the platform? Because there are a lot of people who want to create a strong personal brand online. So could you please share a few of your best practices or some of the things that you learned from your experience creating content online?
For sure, Anna, and thank you so much for having me. I'd say the same about you. We were just talking about it, but you were one of the people that I followed before I got on LinkedIn, before I started posting content. And I'm really excited to talk about this today because I think that it's something that I know you talk about a lot in your content and I try to push as well. But the power of creating content, whether it's in the form of posts or whether it's in the form of comments or whatever it is, it's such a great strategy for job seekers to add value, to get out there, to build relationships. So for me personally, a lot of my content comes from the conversations that I'm having, whether it's with my clients, whether it's with the ones I'm engaging with on LinkedIn. So things that people are posting, stuff in the comment section, or things that I talk about with friends like you or other career coaches, or even my wife when we talk about our jobs at home. A lot of my ideas come from conversations with real people and sort of studying what's going on out there. So practice makes perfect. So the more you do it, the better you'll get.
Could you share some of the tips around what makes a great post? Because there's a lot of content out there on LinkedIn as well, and people scroll through their news feeds and they see a ton of information. So what are some of your top recommendations for writing really compelling posts?
So I would say that there's two roads or two paths that I've seen work really, really well on LinkedIn. The first is a tactical post that has a lot of actionable steps in it. And the second is a personal story. So we'll throw up an example of each here, but for the first example where we're talking about sort of the more tactical, actionable strategy stuff, this post was something that I posted about a week ago as we're recording this, and it was about how to get more recruiters to see your profile or how to show up in more searches. And what I see with a lot of content out there is people will say, oh, optimize your profile for keywords, or, do this other thing, but they don't take it a step further and they don't actually tell people how to do it. And so if you take it a step further and you say, the way to do that is step one, do this thing. Step two, do this other thing. As you can see in the post, I give a little bit of a recipe. So, that's the method that I'm telling people to use. And now all of a sudden, those people have an actionable step that they can go take. And people love that. And no matter where you are, and no matter what you're doing, when you're looking for advice, what we all really want at the end of the day is somebody to say, hey, go do this, go do this, go do this, and then you will see success. I would say that that is one thing that does really well for me. And then the second piece is personal stories. It works really well because two things. One, the personal story, people can relate to that and they really buy into it. And there's a lot of data out there that shows that stories are a lot more meaningful and memorable than just like a boring fact or some boring information. And so if we can tell a story that is also relevant to the person who's reading it, that can go a very, very long way. So in the second example here, I wrote a post about one of my coaching clients who's a high school Spanish teacher, and she's trying to break into marketing. And I talked at the very beginning about an experience that a lot of people face where they apply or they try to get their foot in the door and people say, hey, you don't have enough experience. And then I went on to talk about what she did to overcome that. So the beginning is an immediate couple sentences speaking to this pain point, speaking to things that I know my audience cares about. The middle kind of fleshes out that story. And then the ending of the post is the success, where she got called back for an interview. So that personal story with the template of sort of like the hook at the very beginning, fleshing out the story in the middle, and then ending on that positive note, that tends to work really, really well. And everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has a tactic that they use or that they go through. So almost anybody can do this, whether they're a job seeker, a career coach, an entrepreneur. But I would definitely encourage folks to sit down and think about, what's my story, or what's a story I've heard recently about somebody, or how do I do things a certain way and how can I share that with other people?
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like and share your thoughts in the comments below, and stay tuned for part 2.